Welcome, Karen Speakman, Executive Director of NeighborGood Partners. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you.
How did you come to this work? This is rather unusual.
So I want to share two different things. One, I was an exchange student in high school to South Africa. So that really opened my eyes to the world around us. And I felt that it was important to help people in some way. And then what cemented it, I was an intern with the city of Wilmington with the homestead program in, 76. So learned then about vacancies and needing to rehab houses. And so that got me all very interested.
Great. And Karen, let's talk a little bit about the origins of NeighborGood Partners. I know you had a name change. Can you explain?
Sure, yes, of course. We recently branded as NeighborGood Partners. We say we're good neighbors and good partners, but we have a wonderful history as NCALL, and that stands for the National Council on Agricultural Life and Labor Research Fund, Inc. It's a very long name, but a wonderful history of helping farm workers with better housing and living conditions and working conditions. And there was no one doing rural housing in the mid-Atlantic in the mid-70s. So the board moved the corporation here based in Dover, Delaware at that time. But we've been more recently known as NCALL, and but that doesn't really tell you what we do. So
no, and as you and I were speaking before we started, I don't think I'll include myself, people think a lot about agricultural areas and homelessness or the need for housing. So talk about your mission.
Sure. It's strengthening communities through housing, lending, and education. So those are sort of our the three legs of our stool, so to speak. Affordable housing, any shape or form, we help to develop it. We help other nonprofits develop rental housing and single family subdivisions. We do that ourselves as well. We help with community development work in terms of revitalizing Dover and other communities. We're interested in that as well. We educate. We believe in educating consumers on buying a house, on saving your house from foreclosure, on renting housing and getting rental assistance and mortgage assistance, as well as providing financial coaching. So if you want to just learn how to buy a car or manage your money, we help you do that, and it's free. Then our lending, we lend to other nonprofits and for-profit corporations who want to do affordable housing or community facilities or neighborhood revitalization. We've lent to libraries, public libraries, Lewis, Delaware libraries. We've lent for charter schools. We've lent for health centers, daycare centers, and affordable housing.
Wow. What kind of shape are we in here in Delaware in terms of moderate and low-cost housing in the Dover area specifically, or lower counties?
We have a housing crisis. No ifs, ands, or buts throughout the state. People can't find places to rent. They can't afford them. That the few that rents they can find, the units they can find. Housing costs have gone up 30, I don't know, 20 plus percent throughout the state. This is across the country. It's not just us here, but right now it is incredibly hard to buy a house and or to find a place to rent. And so we have more homeless. We have families scrambling, getting 60-day notices to evict and trying to find some place to take their families. They're, ending up mostly staying with other family members and then trying to figure out what to do.
My God, Karen, what is the immediate response here? What are you doing?
Well, the immediate response should be that we start developing more housing. We don't have enough, and what we are developing obviously is upper income housing. $300,000, $400,000 houses, particularly in Sussex County, and when you try to develop moderate income, moderate priced housing, I should say, we have to find subsidy in order to do that. With Central Delaware Habitat and ourselves, we built at least 42 new houses downtown, but we're subsidizing the cost of building those houses with $50,000 so that we can sell them for 175, 185, 200,000. So it's, building costs, housing's expensive, no ifs, ands, or buts, but
Right.
at the same time, the state doesn't, I will be frank, does not fund enough, not put enough of its budget into housing.
Where are these people going? Where are they living?
Well, some are living on the streets, some are living in their cars, some are, floating from sofa to sofa. I mean, can you imagine doing that as a mom with a couple of children? It affects their schooling, it affects their going forward in life. There are a number of ramifications. It can be, it's stressful, it's traumatic, honestly. So if we could keep people in housing longer or better housed, they would be better off in the long run. We don't tend to think of things holistically. This affects their health. Bad housing could have lead paint issues and other lead and plumbing issues. It can have issues with dust and mites and roaches and asthma problems. It goes on and on. So
is there an immediate fix? I mean, you say there are people that are homeless on the street. What can be done in the short term? It takes a while to build a home.
It does. So we're very thankful that the state got a fair amount of what they call American Rescue Plan Act money, ARPA money. Some of that is going toward some homeless shelters and development of health facilities within, or sort of resource centers within those centers. I know that the Dover Interfaith Mission has received an amount of money. We actually were also fortunate to receive some money that we are trying to land bank some affordable properties for affordable housing. And we'll be developing housing in the future.
I know you work with groups like Habitat for Humanity. They do an amazing job, but there again, it's either build from scratch or rehab. Right. And it's usually, 1 to 5 to 10 homes at a time. Are there other groups that you're working with?
Oh, yes, sure. Yes. There's Bill for Housing Development Corporation. There's Ministry of Caring in Wilmington. There's
well, they do a great job.
Yeah, I mean, we're really fortunate, and there's a number of nonprofit organizations that do a great job. There are some for-profit developers as well that do a good job. They build decent affordable housing, but again, it's a limited resource of using what we call the low-income housing tax credits to some money from the state, primarily, that then we develop maybe 150 units a year in terms of rental housing in Delaware. For affordable housing, it's not enough. Frankly, the state needs to put more money into housing. We receive, I keep saying this, but $285 million in revenue from real estate transfer taxes. The state in its budget puts $8 million.
Karen, is there anything the public can do to support this effort?
I think advocating with the governor and the state legislator for putting more money into this Delaware State Housing Authority, which is the funding source that handles, and they do a good job of distributing and fairly equitably, letting you apply for different funding for this purpose. I hate to say it's just money, but it's a lot of money. So, and obviously people can volunteer in other ways. They can volunteer with Habitat, with some of the homeless shelters, and with like ourselves and our Restoring Central Dover work, hands-on. We have different, working with children, working with returning citizens, different things like that, that people could volunteer as well.
Is it mostly in our lower counties? I mean, here up in the northern part of the state, of course, is where the greater population is.
No, it's just as bad. Yeah, it's throughout the state. I mean, we could use 23,000 more units for rental housing to serve low income families and individuals. That's the shortfall we're seeing right now.
23,000.
Right.
Mm,
I mean, part of the issue is also wages. I mean, you can go into that too.
Sure.
If people are making livable wages right now, it's the fair market rent for houses in for apartments in Delaware for a 2-bedroom is like $1,700 a month. So you need to earn $48,000 to be able to afford that.
and minimum wagers earn about half of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Karen Speakman, NeighborGood Partners. Will you come back and give us some good news when you get it?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I mean, the success or why I do this is one day at a time, one family at a time, and people are helped, and people do become homeowners. We've helped over 10,000 families become a homeowner in Delaware through our existence. 371 last year. So it does happen, and people go from from homeless to renters to home ownership. It does happen. People pull their lives together. It's amazing. Those are those successes that I see and why we do the work we do.
Thank you so much. We will put your website up and
Great.
look forward to getting some good news. Also, people need to get out and advocate. Now we know, huh?
Right. Absolutely. And that's what it also is very important.
Thank you, Karen. Again, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you. Take care.